What's up guys, it's Cosmo the Coder here and welcome to another Humble Bundle review video. Now, you could be saying, why is there another Humble Bundle? There was one last week. Have they added more stuff to the Gamepedia online multiplayer bundle? I don't know, I haven't actually checked. But they have added a new Humble Bundle called the Humble Indie Bundle 16. Now, I'm quite excited for this bundle because it's quite interesting and it's quite a good bundle, I think. So, without further ado, let's get rid of this image right here. And click there. So, straight up into the first tier, we've got 3 games. Now, I always try and forget to mention this. I compare prices from from bundles, to what's currently in Steam. Now, I would do so for any other online store that is directly involved in this case. Now, yes, they are all DRM free, but you can go to Steam. But I'm going to go and base the prices on what's on Steam. It would be the same if it was on Origin or Uplay or whatever your online store or key seller thing would be. Okay, so that's what I'm comparing it to. So anyway, like I said, first up, pay what you want for 3 main games: Retro City Rampage DX, Outlast, and Never Alone, plus the Foxtails DLC. Now, straight off the bat, Retro City Rampage is, if you played the original Grand Theft Auto, it's basically that game, but in a sort of retro pop culture game. It's an exceptionally funny, sort of odd game that if you ever played the first GTA, which was years and years and years ago, I think it's like, late 90s, shall we say, then you'll know it's quite a silly game. But this just takes that sort of theme of GTA and adds even more silliness to it. It's an exceptionally fun game. I have played it for a little bit, and I keep meaning to sort of go back to it and play it on stream and on YouTube. So by all means, have a look at that whenever that happens. And for a game that's actually £7 on Steam, it's an exceptionally good deal. Especially when you get the sort of, which is a bit weird, I'll admit, you get MS-DOS versions that would fit on a floppy disk, and even a NES cartridge prototype version, which is even stranger. You can even change the retro style. Let's put it that way. There's lots of kind of cool little things about this game that's happening. It's even getting a sequel, but that's out there somewhere. So let's not worry about that. Anyway, as I said, cool game, definitely worth a play. Outlast, if you don't know what Outlast is, then where the hell have you been? It's a survival horror game, and horror is a hard word to say when you're a soft R like I do. You fumble around in the dark, there's monsters, there's a storyline, it's a tense, gripping thriller, supposedly. I haven't actually played it. I do own it, just like I own Retro City, but I haven't actually played Outlast. A lot of people say, play Outlast, and I said, look, go to YouTube, type in Outlast. You will find hundreds of playthroughs, people screaming their heads off at how scary it is. I'm not a big one for horror games, as you may or may not know, so I will get around to playing it at some point. Now, it's worth noting at this point anyway, excuse me, that it doesn't come with the DLC, but it does come with a 80% off DLC voucher, which basically means that Outlast on Steam is £14.99 again, sorry, and the actual DLC is £5.99. So with 80% off, it basically knocks it down to about £1.80, which is pretty damn good. So I'm actually going to use the voucher to get the DLC because I don't own it yet. So exceptionally good deal there from a cost point of view, and you only have to look at the reviews to see how cool the game is. So if you're into that kind of thing and want to own Outlast and don't already, then by all means go for it. Now, Never Alone was a game that I did consider buying at one point when it was in the sale, but I think I sort of said, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't need to do it. It's a 3D side-scrolling platformer game which allows you to play one player or two player, kind of like Sonic and Tails, or your other sort of co-op sort of games. It's an exceptionally well-made story-based game. The artwork is brilliant. It's won awards. It's exceptional game, and its art style is, like I said, it's a beautiful art style. It's definitely worth just whatever you want to pay for, because you get the DLC and the soundtrack, which is worth at least £15 on Steam. It's $14.99 right now, actually, if I look at it. There you go. So definitely worth it if you're into it. And I love platformers. I love the kind of art style that it was, which is what drew me to it in the first place. Excuse me. So definitely worth a buy, in my opinion. So the first tier is already exceptionally well. Exceptionally well? That makes absolutely no sense. Exceptionally good. I'm sorry. This is what happens to me with 3 kids. No sleep. It just drives me potty. Right. Moving on. Green tier. Come on. Let's get this party started. Trine 3. Now, if you know anything about Trine and it's the first 2 games, you know that the first 2 games were exceptionally well received. They are games where it's a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. I can always get that muddled. They're 3D, but they're 2D side-scrolling games. Puzzle games where you take on 3 different people who have different abilities, but you're able to swap between them. It's a co-op game as well, so you can actually have 3 people playing at the same time and doing the puzzles for you, so you don't need to do the swap. So it's a single player and it's a co-op game. And the first 2 games were really well received, really gorgeous graphics, and the reviews of the game were exceptional. Trine 3, unfortunately, is a bit of a black cloud, or the black sheep of the trilogy. It's the first game that went into 3D, and unfortunately it kind of fell short of what was expected of it from a Trine game. It ended up coming about that the developer basically said, look, we wanted to make the game bigger and better, but we needed loads more money to do it. And sadly, they just didn't have it. And because it wasn't so well received, it didn't do as well as the previous 2 games. So essentially, it killed the franchise, basically, in terms of what the developers called. Now, whether it comes back or not, there's always a possibility, but it's kind of sad that this game did what it did to the Trine sort of franchise. But who knows? It could come back. It could. Look at the comeback of previous games in various forms. Who knows? So it's kind of sad that this is what Trine 3 is, but it's well worth the money in terms of what's in the bundle. The bundle at the moment, Trine 3 is £16 on Steam. So for what's currently on here, $5.89, $5.89. I can't talk today. It's well worth the money in that sense. Door Kickers is kind of a real-time strategy game, similar to sort of where I want to say like Rainbow Six or whatever it is, where you basically go into a building or an area and you take out terrorists or criminals. You basically play a SWAT team, and you have to move them around carefully, strategically, trying to take out the enemies without them taking you out. It's done exceptionally well on Steam. There's a sequel coming. It's, again, definitely worth the money because it's £15 on Steam. Definitely worth checking out if you're into any kind of real-time strategy games. And what else can I say, really? It's definitely a worth a look. Now, from sort of, even just from the first 5 games, yeah, okay, you got Trine 3, which is, it's a bit of a... But with more games coming soon, I'm hoping that they're going to keep the sort of level of indie games here, because if they do, then more games coming should be quite interesting. So there may even be another video next week with me saying, oh look, more games, but with less, oh look. Right, moving straight on into blue tier. Else Heartbreak. This... It's a bit of a fiddly one to explain this one. It's kind of like if you took The Sims and stuck it into an adventure game, and then you basically made it so you can hack the world. So you're able to change characters, you're able to change elements of the world through changing, using programming and hacking or different sort of things, and hence the world is else heart.break, and that's a method name on an object and sort of thing. So that's the programmer coming through me. It's been extremely well received, and cost wise it's £19 on Steam. So if you beat the average of and add $2, which I'll tell you a funny story about that in a minute. Well, not so funny for the person that affected, but hey. So it's definitely worth a look. It's on my wish list, and it has been for quite since it came out, because I like. I'm sort of up and down about coding games, because some are good, some are bad. This, from what I've seen and from what I've heard from friends and other places, is an exceptionally good game, and it's, you know, definitely worth going to Blue Tier for. Sunless Sea. Now, I'm struggling to actually describe what Sunless Sea is. It's basically a survival game, but it's a survival game that if you took like elements of FTL, Don't Starve, and a general sort of Fallout game, and sort of combine them all into one, and you get this basic sort of thing where you're sailing around the planet, and there's monsters, there's issues on the ship that you've got to deal with, and you basically have a extremely well written, story driven game. Now, it's done quite well for itself. There are some criticisms about how hard it is in places, which is why I sort of drew in the whole FTL thing, because it's based on the idea that it's a permadeath sort of thing. You start the game, you survive as long as you can, you die, and then you start all over again. Now, some people like that, some people don't like that. It's kind of a, you know, especially with permadeath. Some people don't really like permadeath. I admit I'm one of them. I don't like the idea that you die and then you have to start the whole game again. That's just, you know, especially if you have to do the whole tutorial again, but I'm hoping that's not the case. So it's definitely worth a checking out. It's, let's see, it's £13.99 on Steam. It's making its Linux debut as well, which doesn't really affect me in that way, but that's just the way I've never been into Linux for various reasons. But that's just me. So all in all, what I definitely say is this bundle is worth checking out. Okay. Now, one thing they are doing, and be wary of this because of what I'm about to explain. Now, for me, this didn't affect me, thankfully, because whenever I do this, I either round up or I pay a certain amount more than the actual sort of limit, just to sort of say that I gave more to charity than, say, the person who just wanted to get all the games as cheap as possible. That doesn't always happen, but never mind. A friend of mine basically clicked to pay the amount here, and then went off and did something, came back, paid on PayPal or whatever it is, went back into Humble Bundle, but found he didn't actually have the Blue Tier games. And it turned out, because he paused and sort of came back to Humble Bundle site a little bit later, that the average had changed. And because the average had changed and gone up, what he paid wasn't enough. So he had to actually add, I think it was another $2 to actually get the Blue Tier games. And he was a bit annoyed at that. But so it's well worth me saying to you, if you're going to go Blue Tier, make absolutely certain that what you're paying is the price and you go straight through. Because if you don't, that can happen. Okay, it's annoying, but it is easily fixed. But it's something that you need to be aware of. Okay. Now you do get 3 soundtracks. Like I said, you get the Never Alone soundtrack. You do get Trine III soundtrack, and Trine's music's pretty damn good. I'll give it that. You know, I haven't actually heard Trine III's music, so I can't say for certain. And you get Elle's Heartbreaks as well, which I've heard is quite good, quite a good soundtrack. So, all in all, I can't really fault this bundle. It's an exceptionally good bundle. It's an exceptionally good deal. The games you get are good indie games. You know, not necessarily the highest rated in the world. You know, there are definitely flaws in some of them, but they're definitely quite highly ranked, and hopefully when they do unlock whatever's coming next week, the same will be said about that. The Gamepedia multiplayer bundle is still running for another week. I doubt they're going to run 2 all the time, but that's just the way it goes. And that's about it, guys. So that is my review of Humble Indie Bundle 16. I will hopefully do another weekly bundle on Thursday, if one comes along. If not, then in about 9 days, Humble Monthly is coming out again. So let's see what that does. 9 days will make it, does a quick think, about Friday. Yes, a week Friday. So that's what I think of the Humble Bundle this fortnight. Let me know what you think. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, all the usual sort of stuff. You know what to do by now. If you don't know, what are you doing on YouTube? Seriously, what are you doing? I'm Cosmo the Coder. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.